All right. Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Happy Monday. It's October 13th. We're taking a look at NASDAQ this morning. Pretty wild action that we saw on Friday. That was just like minutes after we shut down Friday's stream, huh? Big puke. That was a 4 ATR move, almost a 4 ATR move. I think it was like 3.5 if you include the action after hours there on Friday. We have this morning the Sunday night open, a big gap up, and NQ has already retraced a little bit more than 61% of Friday's sell off. So we've already seen the retracement play out. We have price right back here into the fib sell zone, as I like to call it. So that's going to be your 50 to 61% retracement. It's either going to be the fib buy zone or the fib sell zone, depending on the direction of the move. We have a backdrop that is now neutral on the intermediate term and more bearish on the near term, although that can shift pretty quickly depending on what happens over these next couple of days. What I'm going to be looking at for today is really this 50 and 61% retracement, which aligns with some levels of interest we already have. So 24,800 is kind of going to be the primary focus for me this morning, as well as 24,900. And really what I want to see is how price is going to be responding to this area right here. Now, if this selling activity from Friday is going to continue, sellers pretty much need to defend that overnight high. They want to see price kind of rolling over down through 800, down through 775, into 655, potentially into that Sunday night open at 542. I would expect an inside day today, just given the magnitude of Friday's move. If we end up seeing 24,800 kind of hold as support, if we see some acceptance above this 24,800 area, I'm going to look for a price to retest 900, retest that overnight high, and potentially take us up into 25K. So that's pretty much my game plan for this morning, really hinging on this section of price right through here, 800 by 900. Now, we do have a higher volatility environment right now. We'll see if that sticks around. We will see if that sticks around. But as always, with the higher volatility, you're going to have price structures that are much wider, they're much taller than usual. And remember, these charting platforms do a really good job at scaling. So when you're used to looking at, let's say you use a structure based stop and it's typically 15 points or it's typically 20 points, and that's pretty normal in a lower volatility environment. Well, you may be looking at some structure, like say, for example, you're looking at, some little micro structure or some little 1 minute hammer. That same structure can now be 80 points, it can now be 100 points, and you may not visually recognize that because of how good these charting platforms are, especially TradingView, how good they are at kind of scaling. They scale that action, and it can be a little bit deceiving. So what I always personally do, and what I encourage you to do as well, is when that volatility is picking up, just do a quick double check on the height, on the width of that structure. Basically, just make sure you know how many points of risk you have out there. And if it's wide, if it's too wide, if it's much wider than what you're used to, drop the size a little bit or just pass on that trade. I like to drop the size and kind of account for those taller structures, those wider structures. So that's my plan for today. We're trading with a little bit lighter size than usual, and we're focused on the 24,800 level of interest. Let's see what the market gives us this morning. It is clear as far as economic data is concerned. Of course, government shutdown is still ongoing, so economic data is not going to come out anyway, but we do have some Fed speak this afternoon, 12:55 p.m. Trade headlines are flying. They're still flying this morning. They might be flying all week. And so that is definitely what nuked the market on Friday. So you want to keep an eye on those things. Of course, it's tough to see them in real time, but the lesson, like we always see with these breaking news events, is make sure you have your stop. Make sure your stop is placed in the broker, because if you end up getting caught in something like that on Friday without a stop, I mean, that can be a blown account very, very quickly. And even if you do have a stop, remember, breaking news, you can eat a lot of slippage. These are some of the realities of trading, some of the uncomfy realities of trading, but that's what we signed up for. So we want to mitigate our risk as best we can to kind of account for some of these outlier events. Just make sure we're not trading with too much size, not make sure we're not being too irresponsible with our risk parameters, right? Let's take a look at that overnight action. Look at that big gap up, and it just continues all night long. A little bit of a pullback here over the past couple of hours. Right now, NQ session volume point of control for the overnight sesh is at 847. You got that level of interest I'm interested in right down here, 24,800 area, overnight high, 24,945. Sup, Des? How you feeling? I saw you got stung by a stingray. Man, that's brutal. That is brutal. Hope you're feeling okay. All right, there's our open. What is that, like 825? 824? Look at the volume off the open this morning. Huge, huge volume. No, I'm fortunate I've never been stung by a stingray. I spent a lot of time in the water as a kid. Lucked out there. NQ bumping into that monthly open, 843. All right, Nasdaq right into the lows, coming in at 24,800. Let's take a look at this gap. Look at this 5-minute RTH chart. Pain was only 6 out of 10. Wow. I would actually expect it to be a lot worse than that. Gave higher time frame gap fill. I would really, for a gap fill, I'd really look to the Sunday open. That should pretty much be the primary clue. Basically 542. If that fails to hold, yeah, look for that gap fill. But outside of that, I try not to be a predictor, not in the prediction business. Purely reactionary what I do. Purely price patterns, technical analysis, looking for that path of least resistance. NQ down beneath 24,800, so 655 is your next downside level. So far, that's that fib sell zone being respected, right? So I want to keep an eye on these higher time frames. Yeah, no prediction markets for me. No sir. No sir. Whoever came up with that, pretty smart idea though. It's like a fancy way to get around the gambling regulators. Just call it prediction markets. So NQ so far a little look beneath this low right through here from the overnight sesh. Kind of aligns with that Sunday night structure. What's going on with my mouse? There we go. Right through here. That would be no man's land for me. So I can't place a trade there, but just an observation. So far, those opening ranges more than 100 points. Opening 15-minute bars getting ready to close. A little less than 4 minutes. Might be a 5-minute hammer in the making there. Still 2 minutes on that candle. I'm still focused on 24,800. Like look at this structure right here. Let's see how tall it is. 45 points. It's wide, 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 wide. There's NQ 24,800. You got VWAP right in that area as well. Well, this 15-minute bar may be getting saved here. Session volume point of control there at 825. And then session high, what is that? 843-ish, give or take. 842.75. Potentially a little rejection there of 800 VWAP area. Fifteen minutes into the sesh. So far, not seeing really anything to work with per my playbook. So we're still cash here. Staying patient. Staying patient. A little intraday structure right there here. That was that kind of prior high being retested. This is getting more interesting now. NQ coming into session highs. So 843 is going to be treated. Let's get an update here. So the other indices are doing RTY sideways, YM pretty sideways, ES for the most part mirroring NQ here. In about 10 minutes till 10 a.m. 30 minutes currently shaped like a hammer. We'll see how that closes. Should give us some clues for the rest of the morning. NASDAQ new high of day. Volume's great this morning. ES new high of day. So far this morning, a little look beneath this overnight structure, a break of this sidewaysness, retest right into that area, and then fresh highs. No entries taken yet. No entries taken, no entries seen for that matter with my system. But I like that low hanging fruit. So happy to stay patient till I see it. Opening 30-minute bar, closing up in 5 minutes. Currently shaped like a hammer. Hamski. Although price is still within this structure right here we talked about ahead of the bell before the open. I like the 800. Did not see an entry near there. Upside level is up at 900, which aligns with that 61% fib from Friday's sell. And cue a little retest of the previous high right there. Intraday high, 842, 843. And now new high of day. Session volume point of control shifts a little bit higher, 847. Two minutes till 10 a.m. Anyone trading yet? Anyone trading the open? So the 900 area is going to be treated. You do have a little bit of some overnight resistance here, a little bit of overnight structure at 880. Des, no trade day. Still cash personally. See if we can find an entry post 10 a.m. Cash. Good patience. Good patience. All right, NQ just shy of 900 here as we get into 10 a.m. About 20 seconds till 10 a.m. You have ES approaching 6,700. You have RTY up through overnight high. What strategy is it that I use? I primarily trade market structure, to put it most simply. There's 10 a.m. 10 a.m. with a test of 900. So that 30-minute bar did close bullish to start the morning. Five-minute RTH shows a little bit of a retest of some prior day structure right through there, 720 area. Now we're getting up into this point. Bullish doesn't matter if no follow through. That's true. That is true. Let's throw that intraday fib now. A little bit of a retrace here. There's your shallow fib. RTY pulling back into overnight high. Very slight new high of day. Still cash this morning. I'm not seeing an entry that I can take, so we're just staying patient here. Not a lot of intraday structural alignment with the levels I want to actually engage with price. So nothing you can do but wait. Well, that's not true, actually. I mean, technically, you can just cannonball in, but if we want to trade like professionals, can't be taking the cannonball method. Did anyone end up trading the Sunday night open? Anyone slap some Sunday night trades? I know I sure did. $200-point range intraday so far. Let's get an update on our higher time frame structure. Yeah, so we're near the upper portion, upper section of this Overnight structure right through here. You have pretty significant lower high from Friday right through there as well. So we'll see if sellers step in to defend this area or not. And Q fresh high. Although that upside momentum has certainly slowed. Tricky spot here. Tricky, tricky, tricky. So we have a little sideways structure built now between about 880 and 910. 5 minute is showing a bit of barcode for the regular trading hour session. You do have the session volume point of control up in this area. That last 15-minute bar showing a little bit of exhaustion there. Little bit of exhaustion. Almost 1 hour into the sesh. There's a decent chance this ends up being a no trade day based on how things are currently looking. Okay, rolling over a little bit more here. You got session volume point of control just beneath about 847. And 15 minutes through the prior bar low. So no true test of the overnight high. And we can see this structure here still being respected. That overnight structure. Wondering if that is going to be the range for today. 780 by 925-ish. Like to see how 800 is going to be treated. 24,800. Good uptick in volume now. It's encouraging to see. Decent hold at 800 so far. I'm just bumping into the monthly open right there, 843 again. You have the 38% fib right in that area. Back into 800. So if this area fails, if 800 fails, I would suspect price can give a little retest into session lows. Russell RTY into session lows. You got ES approaching session lows. It's like session volume point of control. Did it just shift lower right there? 825 currently right in the middle of this intraday structure. Like I mentioned earlier, very possible that this is just the range for today, kind of mirroring that overnight structure that we've been talking about all morning, like this. We'll see this which way this structure breaks. Structure here between 800 and 843. Fresh 15-minute bar just opened up. Gabe, you end up grabbing that long? You still in here? Dave, you got a piece? Got a little piece there as well. Ended up hitting that one twice. I got the trail in profit now. My trade of 8 actually crashed right in the middle of that trade, so that was lovely. Gotta love that. I'll trail 819 here. Looks like nothing on the execution chart, but it's about 40 points so far. I like a push back into session highs. We can get there. It's looking good. Good time to lift that trail. I'll trail 835, a couple ticks beneath 835. That was the main play I was looking for today. We talked about 800, 800 multiple times. Question is, do you have the patience to wait for it? Like, can you actually wait for the clean setup, the better setup? That's, if you ask me, that's one of the more challenging parts of trading. It's not the setup itself. It's not understanding price action. It's actually knowing yourself and having the patience and the discipline to wait for the actual A plus opportunity. All right, I'm going to go ahead and lift my trail up to 842. Still riding the 800 longs. I'm going to lift a little more, just beneath 850. Man, that's another 25 points this thing just ripped. So we'll trail 849.25 here. Ultimate target, like I said, session highs 910, 905, 910 area. And again, the idea there, we're just trading the 24,800 bounce. I was most interested in this level this morning. You do have VWAP in that area, but that's not, I'm not really factoring that into my play. Mostly just focused on 24,800 level of interest. Benny, you're going to bail at 900? All right, let's see if we could get this next push. My trail's 849. Trailing is always going to be an art form. You want to give the trade enough room to breathe, but not so much that you end up giving back too much of those open profits, especially if you're trading with a prop firm with intraday drawdown. Then you just want to scale out into strength. Thankfully, there's a personal account, so we do whatever we want. Do whatever we want. Just not trying to blow it. Yeah. Well, daily loss limit helps with that. Yes, sir. That may have come into play when Trade of 8 crashed on me right after my first entry. That was lovely. Those are the risk things that a lot of traders don't think about, like internet going out, electricity going out, platform going down. All right, I'm lifting the trail to 858. May get taken out here, but that's all right. Following my system. Let's see. 858.75 is the current trail. This will be my only trade today in the personal account. I got to jump off after this. There we go. Another little push. Rich consistency exit at 873. Good stuff. Good stuff. You're out then. Looks like I'm going to lift the trail. I don't want to give back too much of this, so I'll go just beneath 870 now. Once we start getting close to that upside target, it's like, do you really want to give back, 30 to 50 points for another 10, 15, 20 points of upside? Personally, no. Once it gets close enough, it's close enough. So we're trailing 868.75 right now. What's up, Ray? Daily goal in hand. Nice work. Lock out. Lock out. Don't give it back. If you give it back, I don't want to be hearing about it. Once I hear about that daily goal, if and this is for everyone, better not be sending me messages later like, oh, I gave it back. I gave it all back. I've been there though. I've been there. We all been there. There's the trail. We're trailed out. All right, we'll take it. We'll take the dub. 1 for 1 on the morning. Again, the idea there, we're talking about 24,800 all morning long. I did not love the action right through here. I know a couple of you were in that. That was a little too aggressive for me this morning. So passed on that one, and we get what I would consider an ideal entry right through here. Very, very nice. We take the long, we're targeting session highs. Patience pays. You gotta wait for the trade that you want to see. Wait for it. Look at this now. Everyone must have trailed right there. Gotta love it. You gotta love it. Lock out and make some bread. Yeah, exactly. Where's the sourdough at, right? Rich manually locked out. Let's go. Benny trailed. D-Wall is here. Yeah, if once D-Wall gets here, it's time for me to log out. He's about to hammer the shorts. Sam, biggest trade, 70 points. Let's go, man. Heck yeah. Shout out Sam. Nice work. LOLM re-entry at monthly open. What is that? Long of my life? No, that's LOML. Love of my life? I think that's also LOML. Love of my life long? All right. I'm tapping out. That is it. 1 for 1 on the morning. I got some other things I got to do this morning, so it's going to be an early stream. We'll keep it going in the Traders Think Tank here. But really, what I'm going to be focusing on for the rest of the morning is how price responds to, let me get you on the higher time frame right here. Basically to this overnight structure. I mean, it's just sideways overnight structure. Call it 750-ish, 760 by about 9:30. You could even call it 800 by 9:30 there. Right through here, right? So we're a little more than 1 hour into the sesh. It's a decent probability price just stays in here for the duration of today. So keep an eye on those edge points. That should give you some good clues. Otherwise, I'd like to thank you all for your time this morning. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you. Take care.